Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another edition of The Danny Show. I'm your host, Daniel Cody, and this is where I give commentary and reviews on all things wrestling. Before I get started, I want to thank all of you who have been watching my review from the past on Extreme Rules 2012. Thank you guys so much for viewing that. That got 35 views so far. Thank you guys so much as we prepare for Extreme Rules tonight. But I want to do something a little special. I forgot I didn't do it yesterday, but sorry for the delay. I'm doing it today, and it is called an On This Day review from the past of Unforgiven 1999. I can't, now, let me make a disclaimer and apologize. I can't review all the matches that happened on the card that night, but let's get to some of the ones that really interest me, and hopefully they interest you. If I missed anything, let me know. But let's start with 99 Kennel from Hell match, and it was Big Boss Man versus Al Snow, who, by the way, is a hero, by the way. It's a plane. No, it's Super Snow. That's right, for those of you who haven't heard, Al Snow is a superhero who rescued a kid from drowning. Good news is he lived to tell about it, whereas Shad Gaspar unfortunately passed away last year doing a heroic act. But such was not said the same for Al Snow, or Super Snow, as we will call him. So, we're going to talk about the match and the background story behind this match. It started script-wise when Big Boss Man kidnapped Pepper, which was Al Snow's chihuahua, and basically, according to the script, killed it and fed it to him. That was just low. Big Boss Man played a pretty interesting heel that year, God rest his soul. I mean, here's a guy who mocked Big Show when his father passed away later on that year, and basically he's a dog killer, just according to the script, the storyline rather. So Boss Man, Kai and Ty ain't got nothing on him. This guy's just evil. I mean, he became more evil ever since being hung by The Undertaker at WrestleMania 15, which has been edited from history because of its disturbance. But moving forward, that happened, so they demanded a match called a Kennel from Hell, which is a combination of a steel cage match with a Hell in a Cell hovering over it. So, and I gotta say, that would make a great match. That, if you put the right circumstances together, that match the double cage match would make an excellent main event match for this day and age, or for any time. That would just be so amazing. I don't know why they don't just use that now. Darn it. Darn. That would especially have done good for the Baron Corbin-Roman Reigns rivalry back in late 2019 to early 2020. That would have been awesome, with Roman Reigns being the big dog at the time, before the head of the table thing coming up. So, moving forward, the match happens. It is a steel cage, and it is covered by a Hell in a Cell, which is kind of like a double layered of icing on cake, I guess. But to make matters more interesting, Rottweilers are brought into the match and surround the cage outside of the Hell in a Cell, and they were supposed to be there so that if the guys try to escape, the Rottweilers would supposedly attack them. However, and this is a match that eventually Al Snow would win, and of course Mick Foley and Kevin Kelly is on background commentary, just making fun of the whole thing. Mick Foley, if you have watched One Night Stand, as WWE has posted preparing for Extreme Rules tonight, you'll notice that Mick Foley has been on commentary throughout the year 2008 before his attack by Edge in the late summer of that year. And he did not sound anything like what he sounded like on Unforgiven 99, the Kennel match. The way Mick Foley's silly tone it was kind of entertaining. I'm not gonna lie, it's a little entertaining, but in some ways it was a disaster because I had to do some background information, and it turns out the match was a bit disastrous. And I'm gonna tell you why. For those of you who have not seen a YouTube channel called Hannonball TV, Al Snow, or should I say Super Snow because he's a hero, did an interview and he talked about the behind the scenes story for, you know, the match with him and Big Boss Man. Both Big Boss Man and Al Snow were embarrassed and uncomfortable, and Al Snow tried to stress to the powers that be, first of all, I thought Vince Russo was WCW because he mentioned Vince Russo, who is a WWE writer, and I'm like, what's he doing in WWE? I thought he was in WCW. Somebody in the comment section, for those of you who, like myself, really follow wrestling like that, please explain why Vince Russo is in WWE when during the Monday Night Raw video cassette that came out in '03, he was seen in WCW. So someone explain that. But either way, moving on. I guess he worked behind the scenes. I don't know. But anyway, moving on. Speaking of WCW, ironically, this cage match happened with Rottweilers involved. That same year, somewhere right around that time, Scott Steiner had a group of Rottweilers attack Sting. I don't know. That was crazy. So I got to see how that rivalry turned out. So either way, moving on. Hopefully he got revenge. Moving on back to WWE's side of things, it's amazing how, because keep in mind that was the Monday Night Raw War thing that was going on. So WWE does something, WCW competes with it, and I don't know who started what, because WCW had the Rottweilers attacking Sting, and Al Snow and Big Boss Man had that match with the dogs surrounding. And Snow said it was important to him that the dogs were trained. And apparently there were not a lot of trained dogs because there was a lot of grossing out. The dogs were basically taking a couple of bathroom breaks, barking at each other. And I thought this was Kevin Kelly and Mick Foley making up silly stuff, but it was said that one of the dogs were actually mating. Kill the visual. Ah, God, I'm gonna be sick. Either way, basically the match was a little bit of a disaster, but Al Snow did what he could to just kind of make things a little bit interesting and put the focus on him versus Big Boss Man. And I didn't know there was a disaster behind the scenes, so that one I would probably say was 3 stars maybe. I don't know. But it was kind of interesting. Not as interesting, but it was something. I don't know. But the story behind it I did not know about. Moving on, we have China versus Jeff Jarrett. So this was a match when Jeff Jarrett was starting to develop a little bit of a basically Rhino character, just like the Dudley Boys did. And I gotta say this, if this offends anybody, I'm sorry, but I am not a fan of that kind of stuff. It is not cool. Just not me. It's just not cool. It's very twisted and sadistic. You got channels like that, you probably got serial killers and serial criminals subscribed to stuff like that. But either way, Jeff Jarrett, script-wise, was a bit of that kind of guy because he had a habit of attacking women and things of that nature. And this was before Bubba Ray came in and totally grew that sadistic attitude. Jeff Jarrett had become a bit of a genderist at the time, and he was this guy that, well, women don't have a place, women are not equal, and all that other crap and just ridiculous stuff, which is probably why he was such a heel at the time. Not to mention he attacked Fabulous Moolah and Mae Young, who WWE's challenge is named after, God rest their souls. So China stepped up and China started getting pushed, as a singles competitor, not just a singles competitor, but a singles competitor to wrestle with the men. Very historic. God rest her soul, forever remembered. And so this match was Jeff Jarrett, the now King of the Mountain, back then King of the Riona. No, Bubba Ray's the King of the Riona. And it's very sadistic and sick, and I don't endorse it. Sorry if you're offended by this, but I don't endorse it. It's not cool. It's not cool. But either way, either way, the match started off with basically, I will say this. We all know when you hear, Until, is this on? And then people started cheering, which is because they knew it was China and not Triple H. Because Triple H, thank God he's well and doing okay. Be careful how you exercise, folks. Was starting to build himself up as a really one of the most despised heels ever at the time. And China comes out to his song and you hear cheers while that song is playing. But eventually she got her own song, and rightfully so. Separate yourself. Break that tie. And of course, this was an interesting match. Jeff Jarrett took control of the match with Dirty Matters, and of course, he used a crossbody in the middle of the match, but it was a 2 count and China powered out. Did you guys see that? You got to see it to believe it. So, moving forth, it continues to go on. We see China demonstrate her strength with the electric chair. That was amazing. And not only did she use an electric chair, but China showed off her strength, power bombing and power slamming Jeff Jarrett. Another thing about this match is I did not realize that Harvey Dent, is that his name? Yeah, not Harvey Dent. I'm thinking about a DC character. Harvey, whoever that Harvey was that managed Giant Gonzalez and Kamala in the rivalry with The Undertaker, was referee of the match. Also, how is Jerry supporting Jeff Jarrett? Because if anyone knows Jerry the King Lawler back in the day, he was a woman-worshipping guy. And it got on my nerves sometimes. In fact, I'm going to show you how fickle his character was. When the referee was down and Fabulous Moolah and Mae Young came in and attacked Jeff Jarrett, keep in mind, they are probably 48 or 50 at the time, and they were able to double vertical plex Jeff Jarrett. That showed a lot of strength. Wow, that was iconic. But, of course, they were eventually double clotheslined by Jeff, and the crowd is booing. Deborah comes out and hits Jeff Jarrett with a guitar, and of course they have had their issues, which is why Deborah left Jarrett for Stone Cold. But of course, domestic violence got in the way, unfortunately, which is why I don't think when there was a match that John Cena had in his debut with Kurt Angle, some of you saw there was a censored sign that said Austin 316 says I don't even need to get into that because it was not funny and it was very offensive. But like I said in my plane ride review, back then people got away with stuff that we have to learn to respect now. We should have learned then, but hey, that's probably why the Attitude Era was so successful. But either way, needless to say, Deborah hit Jarrett with a guitar as an assistance, and Jerry Lawler's having a fit, which I'm confused about because Jerry worships the women, and especially Deborah, even though this stuff with puppies, which is, I can't say what that's really for, that got on my last nerve. Either way, China was supposedly the winner of that match, but the decision was reversed due to outside interference. But that other ref got his, not Harvey. I don't think it was Harvey, it was someone else. But how was he still there? I forgot he was there. But let's move on to the main event match. So this was a 6-pack challenge that featured the British Bulldog, who was a replacement for The Undertaker, who walked out because he did not want to be told what to do. He told Mr. McMahon, well, if I don't get to participate in this, how about I don't participate in anything around here? Now you deal with that. And then walked off, and we didn't see him again until Judgment Day 2000. And what most of us know now is part of the reason The Undertaker kept himself relevant by cutting a bunch of cold promos at the time in 99 and letting the Big Show fight his battles. But it wasn't because The Undertaker's a coward, because he's not. It was because he was actually injured during the time. But to remain relevant, he would create amazing promos and assist Jerry Lawler and Jim Ross on commentary, which kept him relevant and things of that nature. Keeping his hand on the pulse, as he stresses, is very important. So, of course, the injuries would catch up, and this is how he would scriptingly write himself off of television. He wanted to return in 2000, but a groin injury prevented that, and he came back in 2000 Judgment Day after the Iron Man match between Rock and Triple H, which was awesome. And so this was a six-pack challenge that featured British Bulldog as an Undertaker replacement, Big Show, Kane, Triple H, The Rock, and Mankind. Yes, and Mankind. So with Stone Cold Steve Austin as the special guest enforcer, because a lot of the referees were on strike because of the way they were being treated, of course. So, of course, it was a great six-pack challenge, and Stone Cold started on commentary. I think The Rock came out last, and the ovation was great, and then Stone Cold came out as the special enforcer, and the crowd went nuts. So that was just double. So now Stone Cold and The Rock were competing for popularity because both of them were amazing. So the match started. Stone Cold is on commentary, giving out that famous quote that he would later on be known for, and that's that if you're not here to win the championship, you shouldn't be here. So it was a great six-pack challenge, and it ended with Triple H pinning The Rock due to some sort of interference, and my memory serves me correctly. And so Triple H is once again World Wrestling Federation champion at the time, which, by the way, he lost to Mr. McMahon, who was the champion at the time, and somehow the championship got relinquished so that they could fight in the six-pack challenge. That's how the whole thing started, because the last champion was Mr. McMahon, who had won the title with help from Stone Cold Steve Austin from Triple H. So wow. And of course, let's not forget, Mr. McMahon was cheered at the time. Well, Mr. McMahon won the championship as a face. Did we ever think in 1999 that Mr. McMahon would go babyface again? But he did, for a short period of time. But either way, Triple H was the champion. He won the championship, and Stone Cold was set to give him the title. Triple H snatched it from his hand and held it up high, got stunned for it, and this story will continue as I do On This Day review of No Mercy 1999. Stay tuned for details of the date. But that's all the time I have for you right now. If I don't see you tonight, I will see you tomorrow for a review of this year's Extreme Rules. Until then, peace out. Have a good day, folks.